Let me ask you a question. How many diets have you tried? How many times have you told yourself, this time, I'm going to be more disciplined. This time, I'm going to stick with it. This time, I'm finally going to figure it out. And then life happens. A busy week, a vacation, a birthday, kid's schedule gets crazy, work gets stressful, and suddenly you feel like you're starting all over again. What if the problem was never that you needed another diet? What if the missing piece was actually understanding the foundation? Because nutrition was never meant to be about punishment. It was never meant to be about fear. And it was never meant to be about constantly chasing the next plan that promises to fix everything. God created food to nourish us, to fuel us, to help us have energy and strength for the life He's called us to live. Today, I want to talk to you about the foundations of nutrition. The simple principles that actually create lasting health. My friends, you don't need another diet. We just need to start working on our foundation. So grab a notebook because I want you to walk away with practical tools that you could start using today. Welcome to Strength for Generations, the go-to podcast for Christian families who want to build strength, restore energy, and deepen connection with God at the center. I'm Krista Baker, Christian health coach, wife, mom, and co-founder of Baker Family Fitness. I'm here to help you honor God with your health and bring peace back to the process, to simplify what it means to build strength in your body, renew your mind, and care for your spirit, all without losing precious time with your family. So grab your coffee and your ribeye, and let's do this His way. Now, before we dive in, I want to remind you about the free Move Mountains method. It's a 5-day training I created to help you reconnect your faith, your health, and your purpose. Because health is about so much more than food and exercise. It's about becoming the person God created you to be. You can get your free download at bakerfamilyfitness.com/movemountains. Make sure you go through the entire training because there is something special waiting for you at the end. A little behind the scenes look at something I've been building that I cannot wait to share. So one thing I've learned over the years is that nutrition is one of the most confusing areas of health. I think you guys hear me say this all the time. It's very conflicting. Even as somebody who's in the space, we're just surrounded by information. If you go into a bookstore in the diet or nutrition or health section, there's a new book for a new diet everywhere you turn. A new rule, a new supplement, a new person telling us the right way to eat. And I can see how frustrating that can be. To be honest with you, I've felt that same frustration for a very long time. And we end up asking ourselves, like, what am I actually supposed to do? And that's why building this business for the Lord has allowed me to just literally go back to the Bible. Well, what does the Bible say? Let's go back to creation. God gave us this food to nourish us, to help us feel good and grow strong and have energy. And so when we allow the world to manipulate that, I would say, am I being duped by somebody because of a marketing strategy? The marketing becomes louder than wisdom. And that's why I will always talk to you guys about going back to the foundation, not a list of restrictions and parameters. Do this and do that. A simple approach to nutrition that helps you understand your body, honor God with your choices, and create those habits that you so desperately desire. The ones that you can actually live with. Reminder, guys, our health is not built with one perfect week. It's built from the daily choices we repeat over time. So our step 1 today is we've got to stop chasing diets. We've got to just stop chasing them, guys. We've got to build the foundation. Remember, diets are temporary. A foundation is something you can build your life around. I don't want people to think that they've got to just jump straight into restriction. You know, the first thing you think, okay, what do I need to remove? What foods do I need to cut? What rules do I need to follow? Before you remove anything, we need to look at what is missing. A lot of times I add. I don't change anything except for let's just add to this. We need to start asking ourselves some better questions. Am I eating enough protein? Am I eating enough food to support my body? Am I eating in a way that supports my energy? So, okay, I've had this thing. Well, how did I feel after? Not so great. Okay, remember that. Am I creating habits that fit my real life? Because your nutrition plan, it has to work on a normal Tuesday, not just when life is perfectly organized. And that's where most people fail. They try to build this perfect plan instead of creating a sustainable one. Your health is built through the boring things that you repeat. There's nothing sexy about this, guys. It's boring and repetitive, but it's the same thing. Actually, this morning I went for my Sunday morning walk with the Lord, and it was raining, and I looked and it was supposed to rain a lot. And I just almost told myself, oh, just go down on the treadmill. And God's like, nice try. You made a commitment to get outside and walk with me every Sunday morning. Get your butt up and go outside. He didn't obviously say that in the audible voice, but that's the prompting I felt. And let me tell you, I did think like this is kind of repetitive. I do really take the same path. I kind of have the same routine where I walk down the same streets because it's only once a week that I'll do that. Other days I'll go in different directions. But this specific walk every Sunday morning is with him. And I go down this one street and I go down this other street. And I just got so deep with him. I had my hood on and the rain was coming down. And what might be boring to some people because it's the same thing every Sunday that I repeated, the conversation and the time that I had with him was extremely deep. It was absolutely beautiful. I felt like I could hear from him. I knew what to pray for people when they were walking by me. It was absolutely incredible. And so when I take that lesson that I've learned with him, making this commitment to that time with him, and I bring that into my health journey, I have to be okay with a bit of repeat, the same thing. And so the breakfast that you make when you're tired needs to be something that you can repeat and be sustainable. The same with the lunch, like you prepare before the busy day. The choices that we make when nobody's watching, those small decisions become your results. So here's a tactical action step for you today. For the next 7 days, don't try to overhaul everything. Just observe. I want you to write down what you ate that day. And then I want you to also pay attention to where you struggled the most. Maybe you can just jot down the time of day and then ask yourself at the end of the week, where do I need more structure? You cannot change what you're not aware of. Okay, step 2. Guys, I know you're probably sick of it, but I'm going to say the word again. Protein. Start with protein because it changes everything. One of the biggest things I see over and over again is people are not eating enough protein, especially if you're trying to lose weight, especially if you're getting older, and especially when you're busy. And remember, guys, this is how we're going to build and repair muscle. And I've talked to you about it before. Muscle matters. Muscle helps you become stronger. Muscle helps you maintain independence as you age. Muscle supports your metabolism. Muscle changes the way you look and feel in your body. And we talked about this before. Protein is not convenient. Nobody accidentally eats enough protein. I'm telling you, I've never met anybody that's just like, I just randomly got enough protein today and I didn't even think about it. You have to be intentional and you have to create that convenience. When you're rushing out the door, you're not going to suddenly decide to cook a perfect meal, but you need to have an option ready. So what does that look like for you? So your tactical action step for this one is we're going to choose one meal tomorrow and increase your protein. That's it. Don't change everything. Just practice feeding the goal. Practice with that one meal. And if you are not doing it at breakfast, I'm going to highly recommend you dial in on your breakfast. And your breakfast is when you break your fast. So whatever your first meal is that day, what are you breaking it with? Are you breaking it with a coffee, with sugar, and some sort of weird hazelnut creamer that has like 200 calories? Or are you going to break it with something that's going to actually help you feed the goal? Okay, step 3, we're going to understand how important your macros are. I talked to you guys about this already this week. One of the biggest problems I see is that people are taught to fear food. And we've been told these things since we were little. And we talked about the hyperpalatability in food. So things just taste really good. You get this signal in your brain and your brain doesn't know how to shut it off. And it's like, give me some more of that. You have to be superhuman to fight that. But I don't want you to fear carbs. I don't want you to fear fats. I don't want you to fear calories. But we eat too much. We really just eat too much food. Our portions are really big when we go out to the restaurant. They're dousing it in all of this crappy seed oil and, margarines and fake stuff. It's not even real ingredients. If we go back to what he created, remember, he created food. He created protein and carbs and fats. And just remember, each one of those nutrients serves a purpose. But sometimes when I do audits of people's foods, I look and, I said this before, 100% of the time, I'm reviewing someone's nutrition. They are not getting enough protein. So I start there. But a lot of the times I have to manipulate how many carbs and fats they're going to eat. Some people just really do better on lower carb and higher fats, especially if they have hormone issues. So when we start to fix the organs, then your body can break down carbs better. But most people don't really break down carbs very well because they're having too much of them too frequently, all day, all night, in their drinks, in their whatever. So it's not to be afraid of them, but just to have a good balance of them. You never want to fully pull out a food group. I want you guys to be able to go out for dinner and then celebrate birthdays and enjoy meals with your family. You just have to understand how your choices fit into your goals. And this isn't so that we become obsessive over numbers. We just have to get a bit of knowledge. So, you can gain that confidence and understand, oh, when I do this, this works. When I do this, it doesn't work. So that we're not guessing and we're not starting over and we just make these choices with wisdom. So when you're looking at your plate next time for your next meal, take a look. How much of this plate is, and then what food group, insert food group, right? And if we don't really know what each food group is, because some people are unaware that vegetables that we're told are so healthy, they're still carbs. Your fruits, those are carbs. And then obviously your buns and your breads. People think carbs, they think bread, dessert, that kind of stuff. So what is happening on your plate? Does this meal support my goals? And then we're going to build a nutrition approach that really just honors your life. I want you to understand that your nutrition needs to support what you're doing. You will never figure this out if you don't allow yourself to enjoy your life. But the thing is if you're saying to yourself, yeah, I really want to enjoy, I don't want to restrict myself, and you're not making any changes at all because that's the thing stopping you, well, then you need to do a heart check and ask yourself, do I just want to enjoy my taste buds and satisfy my needs and satisfy my cravings and satisfy my temptation? Or can I just understand that my body needs this to survive and thrive and be well and not be laden with disease and illness, and I'm not going to get these weird appointments at the doctor because my arteries are so clogged because I fell into the trap of just my desires? I don't ever want anyone to stop enjoying food. I don't want to stop enjoying food. I was listening to my husband, just speaking to another couple. We were out for supper. And he doesn't do sugar, but he had a diabetes diagnosis during the pandemic that changed a lot for him. And so the way his organs were working, the way that he needed to support himself, that he made a choice that this is just not what I want to do. This is not who I am. Sure, we've pivoted and found ways around things to not mess with his blood sugar. And so we can still enjoy and have the sometimes food sometimes. And I think it's such an honorable thing. And I was sharing with my husband that I recently was talking to my dad. And so my dad said, when Mike made these changes, he saw all of these amazing things change about him. Like he got stronger and more disciplined and, more joyful and was able to do this thing. And my dad admired that in him because he's like, most people won't do that. And here's the thing, guys, if you're listening to this right now, if we don't find an approach that honors your life, it's just going to be this constant battle of roller coaster ride of diets and fail, like start, stop. And I know that the Lord doesn't want that for you in your life. I know that to be true because he's said so many times in his beautiful book that he's given us. So when you think about those categories that we have are always and sometimes foods, what are we doing to fuel ourselves? Are we supporting our goals? Are we allowing ourselves to just continually fall back into temptation and fall back into ways that just we know aren't making us feel good. Well, if that's the case, I really want you to take a look today and just reflect on what God's telling you. I want you to create a list. Maybe make a list of your always foods, the things that you are going to enjoy always that you know are real whole food from the Lord. And then list your sometimes foods. And we're going to insert that into 10% of your nutrition throughout the week. And then I want you to write down your non-negotiable health habits. Can you make yourself a non-negotiable health habit? So my health habit, my spiritual health habit, plus getting activity and plus being in nature is on Sunday morning, I go for a walk with the Lord before I go to church. And it's just me, and I don't care what the weather's like. I mean, if it's like a blizzard and it's like bitter and they're like, don't go outside for more than 10 minutes or you won't be able to breathe, whatever, maybe I might change that and just go in the basement and go on the treadmill. But in reality, that time is set aside for Him and nothing else is getting in my way from that, no matter where I am, if I'm traveling. So that's become a non-negotiable and my health habit. Right? And remember, your health is, sure, your nutrition. That's what we're diving into this week. A lot of nutrition talk. But when we do it and we glorify that area of our life for Him, it allows us to spiritually get more connected with Him because we've now acted in obedience and we're following through on what He's instructed us to do so that we're well, so that we can live out the calling that He's so freely given us for our lives. It doesn't have to be so complicated, my friends. Like, we just have to go back to the foundation. I don't want you to feel like there's another thing that you got to fail at. You know, this whole starting over every Monday plan, it's just not working. And so you've got to ask yourself, like, what am I doing that's making this so confusing? Don't worry about your meal timing. Don't worry about intermittent fasting. Don't worry about any of that stuff. You're skipping steps. If you haven't built your foundation, you don't get to do any of those other things. We need to build some structure. We're going to create that convenience and make choices that align with the person you're becoming. Your health is not separate from your purpose. The way you care for your body impacts how you show up for your family and your marriage and your work and your calling and your community. And God gave us this body for a reason. Our job is to steward it well. So if you want to go deeper into connecting your faith and health, I want to remind you guys, head over to bakerfamilyfitness.com/move mountains and start the free 5-day Move Mountains method. 1 Corinthians 10:31. So whether you eat or drink or whatever you do it all for the glory of God. Sit on that scripture right now. What is the Lord revealing to you when you hear those words? Father, thank you for the gift of our bodies. Thank you for providing food that nourishes and strengthens us. Help us move away from confusion and towards wisdom. Help us make choices that honor you. Give us discipline without shame and give us understanding without fear. Help us care for ourselves so we can better serve the people you have placed in our lives. In your glorious name, Lord, we pray. Amen. All right, my friends, keep building strength for generations. Thanks for tuning in to Strength for Generations. If this podcast encouraged you, it would be a blessing if you took a quick minute to leave a 5-star review. It helps more families hear this message and find hope for their health and faith journey. It lights me up to know this podcast is helping you. And if you feel led to share this episode, text it to a friend, post it to your stories, or send it to someone on your heart. God might use it to encourage someone who really needs it today. And don't forget to eat steaks, lift weights, love Jesus, and keep doing it His way.